Hi, how are you? This is Damaris Maria Grossman, and this is the Mindfully Integrative Show. And today we have an amazing guest and mindful chat with Cindy Vallone. She is an integrative mama. She is an essential oils expert, shall we say, and a wellness confidant, and uses her wellness techniques for her family and for others. So I love that you're on the show, and I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what you do. So thanks so much for having and coming on to the podcast.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. Thank you. I love this platform. I love learning from others and supporting other people, and um, it's just perfect. So, a little bit about me.
A little fun
I am.
fact. Yeah, I always say the fun facts.
Oh, the fun. Well, the fun fact. A lot of times people don't know. This is a good one. I have bungee jumped off of a bridge in New Zealand. This was about 20 years ago. I don't know that I would, maybe 30 years ago. I don't know that I would have I think I wouldn't be able to do it again. I think I wouldn't be able to do it again, but it was a bucket list. It was a bucket list. So that was a fun fact. I am born and raised and now raising my family in beautiful Southern California. So I love to do things that are outdoors and that really fill my cup, whether it's hiking or sailing, or I'm going to be learning how to paddleboard this summer with a good friend who has an extra board and has been nudging me. I was like, I think I could do that, right? And essential oils really are a wonderful part of our everyday natural medicine cabinet. And I came to essential oils because of a lot of things that happen in my own personal health, and really like to use them as a natural alternative to some of the everyday things that people deal with.
That's a good segue into the day. I also know, I mean, you're a mom, so
Yeah.
you've decided, you've been obviously like, was there something in your health or your children's health that made you kind of transition into the kind of this mindset? Obviously, your one of your modalities is essential oils. Um, you probably use other things too, nature and other health kind of wellness tips, but was what was the kind of the catalyst that kind of changed your mindset?
It's really interesting. And coming on and talking with you today brought me back to where did my health journey begin? In college, I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. Those
Mhm.
were, 30 years ago, just sort of the buzzword and bucket people put you in when you had something that nobody could really explain.
Right.
And I think, now 30 years later, I can look back and say, here were some of the causes. This is what I was doing to my body. And I'm talking just about stress, not sleeping well, not eating well. I graduated in 3.5 years at the top of my class. But what did I put my body through? I think poor nutrition, poor sleep, probably not being restful, not being mindful. I mean, all of the things just sort of came to a screeching halt because I wasn't taking care of myself. And my body paid the price. And so from then on, I really had to live very differently. I didn't know about essential oils for many years after that. Actually, it's been about seven. I've only known about them for about 7 years. So I was a little bit late to the party. But part of that, one of the things, although I got really healthy and back on track, one of the things that I couldn't shake, if you will, were chronic headaches. And I know that there can be a tremendous amount of causes of headaches, but that's really what started my journey about 7 years ago. A good friend introduced me to peppermint essential oil and said, you just put a little bit on your temples and it should help. And I was completely skeptical and rolled my eyes at her and probably giggled a little bit and said, "You've got to be kidding me." And she said, "What do you have to lose?" And, the answer was nothing. I had nothing to lose. So I gave it a try and again was completely skeptical. So just chalked it up to placebo effect, but then began to realize because of chronic headache, I had another one, was using it again. And little by little, our family started to dive into how else can these oils help us. My youngest son had some ear pain. And as a mom, you immediately think like, oh, that's going to be an ear infection, And so what could I do? And there were things that I could do. And so using them preventively, proactively, as additional tools in our toolbox really helped empower me as a mom. And that's what I love to do today.
That's so great. I mean, I also heard that too, in addition to like your children, you also do a lot of like, cause you're saying you're nature, you also have you said you also did a lot with guide dogs too in your health history. Is that through health too? Was that for because of you trying to be out, having like some therapy dog, or was this
No, no, no,
what brought
no.
that? Because integrative health can be so many components. So we'll touch more back on this essential oils, but I'd love you to just
Yeah.
you talked about that a little bit, and I was like, oh, what is the backstory on that?
Okay. So this is actually really cool and very new in our life.
Oh, it's a new thing. Oh, I
It's
thought
a
this was
new
from
thing in our
previous.
life, but it has so many amazing benefits that I didn't see coming. So that backstory is, so I have two boys. One is a freshman in high school, one is a freshman in college. So as my youngest son was realizing his brother was going off to college, right? That was a
Yes.
big void. The timing was that we had seen a documentary called Pick of the Litter. I think it's on Netflix. And it's
Mhm.
all about this nonprofit organization called Guide Dogs for the Blind that's been around since the 1940s. So it's an amazing organization. And he came to us, he came to my husband and me, and he said, is this something our family can do together? And immediately as a mom, there were two things that came to mind. One is my son wants to give back. That's huge,
That's beautiful.
right?
If that's not love right there,
Right?
health is all about a mind, body, spirit, and like in inner love, right? So here, that's awesome. Okay, talk more.
And that it wasn't a ploy to get a puppy because he's grown up with dogs his whole life. So
Okay.
yeah, so it wasn't a ploy. And then the other thing was, what a beautiful, and I'll talk about the program a little bit, what a beautiful opportunity to help somebody else. And then selfishly as a mom, I thought to myself, what a great way for the three of us, because my older son is off at college, for my son and my husband and me, for the three of us to spend time together, to do something that's going to bring us closer, have some common ground. At a time when teenagers want to kind of pull away from their parents, right?
Yeah,
You
right.
kind of
Yeah, teenagers usually aren't into that. Yeah.
They aren't into that. And so my kid was coming to me saying, hey, can we do this together as a family? So immediately we jumped on board and said, yes, let's find out more about this. And luckily we have a puppy club, a puppy raising club, not too far away. And we are a part of that community now. And so we have, it's a pretty formal program. We have puppy club meetings once a month, puppy club outings. And our job is to socialize, nurture, love, support, train. They train us, we train the puppy, kind of a thing, for about 12 to 15 months. And then the puppy gets recalled back to the main campus, which I call college. It's like puppy college, where they get more formally assessed and then hopefully paired with somebody who is seeing impaired.
Really cool. Wow. I mean, that in itself is its own therapy. I mean, you could talk about, pet therapy is huge. Animal therapy in general is needed. And then to use it in like a service aspect is another, element to that.
And
That's great.
absolutely. And so where that goes for mindfulness, here's the interesting part. Puppies are a lot like babies. They're on their own schedule. So I have to make sure that her needs are met. And she loves to, Southern California, she loves to be outside.
Oh,
So around 11 o'clock, not today, but around 11 o'clock seems to be our time where we go on the outside bench. And she just loves to just kind of hang out in the sun. And then we have to have mindful walks, and we have to have time where we play, and we have to have time where we rest, and we have to have time when we work. So my schedule has sort of evolved around her schedule a little bit, and that gives me a beautiful break throughout my day and another
no, no.
focus.
And another focus, but then in a way, she's kind of brought you back to the present and made you mindful at every turn, I guess you probably remember this when your little ones were young. Um, Always having to kind of really sit in those moments, because what else could you do if they're not yelling about something or crying or laughing or smiling, and just being able to enjoy it? Has it been like, in some aspects, like that bittersweet but also beautiful moments?
Yeah. Well, they don't sleep through the night at the beginning.
Yeah.
So that brought me back, to those infant days. But we know that it's such a short period of time, and we feel so really blessed to be able to have this experience with her. And when she's recalled in whatever it is, 12 to 15 months, we know it's going to be heartbreaking. She's been, an integrative part of our family, but we also know that she is meant for so much more. She's not a pet. That's not her job. Her job is to help somebody who needs her more than we do. So,
That's so
yeah.
beautiful in itself. It's you're letting go in your own way, but you know that that'll be a good thing. So let's talk again, a little bit more on your oils and how you've obviously helped your family. So where have you kind of gone with that? With just your family and friends. And then from there on, obviously it's grown for you.
Yeah. So, like I said, essential oils, I really felt empowered as a mom when I first started, and obviously today as well. But when I first started to learn about them, I didn't, I didn't even know that they existed. And
Mhm.
so I felt like I had a mission to really share this with other people so that they knew what was available to them, especially when it comes to preventive and proactive. Obviously, they can help with acute as well.
Right.
But what can we do for stress and sleep and anxiety and boosting immunity, and for things like headaches and respiratory and digestive support? I mean, there's so many things that we can do to help our bodies now in a way that doesn't have any negative side effects. And that was really what was so exciting to me. My boys have been, using them for 7 years. So when they were little, I'd have to, put them on them. Now, obviously, they, have oils stashed in their room and in their backpacks. My oldest one has a whole kit at college. Funny story there. He texted my husband and me, and he said, "Good news, bad news." You never want your kid to
Oh
start a
God.
sentence like that, right? And
Hmm.
he's like, "Good news, I was using my diffuser. Bad news, I knocked it over and it wrecked my keyboard." So
Oh.
my response was, "Yay, he's using his diffuser." And my husband was like, "Another keyboard." So it was really funny. But yeah, so it has definitely become part of their lifestyle.
Hmm.
And grabbing those as their first line of defense, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental wellness, is something that we all do.
Oh, very cool. That's it. It's kind of, you put it into their, um, I initially call it the calm corner, or the comfort. You found it in their toolbox for their, whether it's stress management, anxiety
Yeah,
overall. That's cool.
yeah,
You talked a little bit about, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia back then, right? And I know now you've come to essential oils, but up until the point prior to the essential oils, you had to have found other elements of integrative health to kind of say, all right, these other traditional things may not just be working. Or I don't know what you use. Maybe I'm not sure. What would you like to talk
yeah.
about that?
So it really took me being so once I graduated college, actually my plan was to go to law school.
Hmm.
And because I was so run down, there was no way I could see jumping back in to that rigorous academic environment. And so I put a pause, and I said, my life plan has changed. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I cannot continue to do this to my body right now. Maybe later, maybe law school can happen later, but not right now. So, and I was young. I was what, 20, 22 years old, right? When you graduate from college, right around there, right? 18, 19, 20, you're right
Yeah.
around there. And so I just put a pause. I have a very supportive family. My husband and I actually have been together since college. So he was my boyfriend, then fiance, then husband. So he sort of
Wonderful.
had been with me that whole time, from when I was well to when I was not so well to getting well. So very supportive. And I think it came down to identifying that there was a break in the system. Okay. I knew that sleep had to become restorative in order for me to begin my health journey. So I was like Sergeant Cindy when it came to sleep. I was like, nope, I'm not going to go out. I'm not a very big partier to begin with, but I'm just saying, no, I needed to be home a certain time. I needed to have lights out at a certain time. I needed to get up at a certain time. Those were non-negotiable. Making sure that processed food was just done. No processed food. Huge links into health and processed foods, right?
Right. Of course. Yep.
We know that
you're on the right podcast.
We have to stay on the outside of the grocery store, right? Fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, get the junk out. So I had to look at my health and nutrition differently, which is not something they teach you in school. I mean, unless you're a nutrition major, but I was pre-law. So that was not something that I was learning.
And the nutritionists aren't always learning it either, just to give you a heads up. Neither are the medical professionals either. We had to go outside of the box to learn it.
We had to go outside the box to learn it. So I really had to look into that. I needed to decrease stress. I needed to find out what my stressors were and step away from those. So truly simplify my life. And if it didn't add value, I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to be, I'm going to say people pleaser, but that's not even the right term. But I really had to put myself first, and I had to do what was going to be right for me. And at 22, that was not very easy to do.
Oh, no, not at that time. It's a difficult, you want to do everything.
Yeah. So just taking a really harsh look at my life and deciding what I could and couldn't do, and that I needed to be okay with that, and integrating exercise. But here's the deal, integrating exercise really slowly. I wasn't going to run a marathon. I probably wasn't going to run around the block. I mean, I was so incredibly depleted. So it was taking a walk and then not being too hard on myself if I needed to turn back early. So being kind, being gentle with myself. And those were things that, today I can say, well, of course, but back then that was all brand new. So in terms of modalities, being mindful,
We've already touched base that you already talked about, exercise, nutrition. You've talked about sleep. Huge.
Yeah. And meditation. I started meditation, but I didn't call it meditation. I just called it deep breathing.
Sure. Deep breathing.
Meditation was
there's so
too
many
much
different
of a
parts
commitment.
of it. Yeah. So as I talk to people about meditation is in many forms, right? So it doesn't mean you have to just sit there and just sit with the thoughts. You can go on a walk, listen to music, draw, and whatever that is for you. So that was part of the equation too.
Oh, yeah. And one more thing too. This is going to sound kind of silly, probably not for your audience, but coloring.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, for sure. I have like a whole video on just people doing mandalas or I have like a maze people do. And people are like labyrinths. It's totally part of it. It's a meditation. It's absolutely a meditation.
Yeah, and this was before adult coloring books became a thing.
Okay.
Because they weren't back then. And
no, they're more now, right? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So for me, I had to get like little kid coloring books, right, from the little Target section, and and honestly, I just turned them upside down. It didn't matter what the picture was. It was just that mindless doing that really helped. And you're right, it's a form of meditation, and I didn't know that then, but that definitely helped. So all of those things really helped on my journey. And I do need to, still continue those things today. I'm much more in tune to my body. My inflammatory response, I think, is a little bit heightened than maybe the average person. And I can tell when I'm starting to get more inflamed. So I have to just be really careful. Like, okay, well, what was that trigger? What did I do differently? Oh, okay. Well, can't do that again, kind of a thing.
Right. I mean, and it's not a perfect science, right? But that's where it comes in. You're in tune, you're listening, some days are better than others. Most days you want to have more good days than bad, right?
Mhm.
Um, And so then it kind of came into then the essential oils became one of your major tools, but you used all these other parts that integrated into your life, which is so important. I just love, for you to talk about it. I know that you probably had an array of things, but I appreciate you discussing that further too. Um and then, let's chat about, more of any clients that you've worked with or anything that recently that you would like to discuss, whether it's oils or just in general your wellness, coaching. Because I
Yeah.
know that you do see clients too.
I do, yes. So I am, I guess my official title is, DoTERRA Wellness Advocate and Educator. And I do have an international team of people who help people with their health and wellness goals. And so that has been really exciting for me, is to be able to, truly go outside of the United States and help people on an international scale. And so, yes, I love to work one on one with clients, and I find out what their specific health and wellness goals are. And I call it head to toe. Like, let's just talk about what's going on. And if essential oils can help you, um, help you meet those goals. And typically the answer is yes. But obviously, if the answer is no, then I do have, a team of people who I can refer those people to. So we work in conjunction together. And so most recently, well, because of the world we're living in, stress and anxiety is really at the top for so many people. And so being able to help people grab essential oils when they're starting to feel that overwhelm or that shortness of breath, or helping with their kids who are going into a new environment, right? Maybe they were homeschooled and now going back to school, that kind of thing, has been really heartwarming, just to know that those essential oils are helping people get through and get on with their day and their life. So that's been really, really big. And then of course, helping people with headaches is so fantastic, because I know what that feels like. I know what that feels like, to feel that pain starting to come on, and thinking to yourself, oh no, I'm gonna have to take a prescription, a prescription pill that's probably going to make me not feel that great, make me feel kind of groggy, and not, might not be able to drive carpool that day, like whatever it is, I'm going to have to go take a nap, whatever it is. And then to be able to say, but wait, why don't I go ahead and just give some peppermint a try and see if that's going to help? And typically it stops it in its tracks. So loving that. And so, stress, anxiety, sleep's a really big one that we have a lot of success with. And then digestive support. Our gut is like our second brain. That's where a lot of our
Yes, it
immunity is housed, as you
absolutely.
know. And so being able to help people with digestive support is really wonderful, because it makes such a huge impact and it works so quickly without any negative side effects.
That's such a good point. What is you did say peppermint. What would be your other go-to mindful oil that you love?
I love lavender. I
Lavender.
mean, I love lavender for calming and soothing. That's wonderful to use in the diffuser. A lot of people
Mhm.
don't realize, but it also has a lot of, it's a natural antihistamine. So it helps with kind of that seasonal allergy feeling that people have sometimes. So diffusing that at night is really helpful. And then I'm a
It's also
huge,
a antimicrobial.
yes,
Lavender is really good on well, not obviously not direct, but like diffused for
yeah, actually,
burns and honey. Yeah, so it has a very good.
it's fantastic for burns, whether
Mhm.
it's a sunburn or whether it's a burn from a hot pot,
Yep.
both of which, I've been guilty of. And just sticking a little bit right on stopped that blister from forming. It like pulls the redness out. It works
Does it?
quickly, very, very quickly. And yes, I just grab it. It's in my kitchen. And then I'm a huge citrus oil fan, whether it is wild orange, which I have running. I actually have wild
Mhm.
orange and peppermint running in my diffuser right now for energy
Love
and
it.
focus.
I love
Um, I
it.
love I love wild orange. I love green mandarin. I love grapefruit, lemon, the citrus oils. I love that's what's in my water actually. A little tangerine and some warm water right now.
Mm.
Helps also for detoxification and hydration. I love citrus.
Yeah, citrus has a lot of good qualities for a number of reasons.
Mhm.
Even helping reducing this, even though people assume that it's acidic, they don't realize that it actually helps make your, more of a neutral balance
That's right.
within the, yeah. So it's a kind of like one of those like tricky things. People are like, oh no, it's acidic. And I'm like, no, you don't really understand the pH. It actually balances you.
Exactly.
Um,
It's a good thing. It's a good
right.
thing.
It's a good thing. Exactly. Um, well, I appreciate you being on the show. Is there a little mindful tip? I mean, you've already given many things to share, but that you'd like to say before we end this to the listeners on this podcast?
Yeah, I think I've touched on a lot, but the one I didn't talk about is gratitude. So
Hmm.
I like to wake up every morning before I get out of bed, even before like my eyes are fully open, and I focus on three things that I'm grateful for. And they don't have to be big giant things. Like one was that I was just so grateful that we cleaned out the garage and my car could go in because we had a really crazy hailstorm here, which is like never happens. I mean, it was ridiculously cold. And I was just so grateful that when I was going to drive my son to school today, it wasn't going to be cold and icy. So, it's the little things that we're grateful for. But as long as they're three, that's how I love to start my day. So give it a try.
I like that. Yeah, I think that it's the simple stuff that we need to kind of reset and be grateful for. Thank you for that little mindful tip today. And I just appreciate you being on the show, and I'd love to have you on at some other time, or maybe and some future conference or something that we might do.
Oh, I'd love it. I love everything that you're about. It's just so fun to talk to somebody who's on the exact same page.
Yeah, I love talking to different people about this, and it's just it's a passion that it doesn't end for me, and for you too. It's part of like it just when you're helping others do better and feel better, it's and understand different ways. You're like, I don't have to take a prescription all the time, or prescription less of. It's
That's right.
cool. That's how I look at it. So I just really appreciate your time and kind of your wellness tips and things. And I know that you're probably helping many others, and they can reach you in the show notes. And that you said that you do Zoom calls for those for consultation. So I'd love for them to reach out to you. And thank you again.
Thank you so much.
And those listening on the Mindfully Integrative show, I appreciate your time, whatever that is for you, and make sure each and every day you find a mindful way.